Let's give people a moment to get started here. All right. Okay, while we wait, I do have a live audience here as well, but for those online, why don't you share with me in the group chat, where are you joining us from tonight? I'm here in lovely Vancouver. It's not too bad today, but anyone from Ontario or Alberta, let me know in the chat, and don't be embarrassed and don't be shy. Only I can see the chat results, okay? So feel free to let me know. But otherwise, we'll give folks just another minute to log on then before we get started. All right, those that are joining us online as well, if you're joining us from the East Coast, West Coast, the Best Coast, or anywhere in the middle, let me know where you're joining us from. Anyone from Alberta, Ontario, Manitoba, New Brunswick, PEI. All right. All right, so 7 o'clock on the dot, we'll get started, and then we'll have those that are joining us later, share a bit afterwards, okay? But my name is Lee, and I'll be your instructor today. You're here for a great workshop tonight, so there's a lot of great information. But before we get started, I want to share a little bit, more about who we are in our campaign. Now, is anyone here, or maybe their family, immigrants to Canada? Anyone? Immigrants to Canada? Right. My family, immigrants to Canada, they came to Canada many years ago from Vietnam, just to make sure that my little sister and I have a brighter future. They barely had any high school education, no money, didn't know anybody, but they came to, hey, for a better opportunity. So when they got here, they worked really hard. They worked a lot of manual labor jobs. And when they were working, they didn't have a lot of time to raise us and to take care of us. But my parents taught me 5 things. They said, Lee, go to school, get good grades, find a job, get married, buy a house. Sound familiar? Yeah? I think that's very familiar for most of us. And so I did most of that. I'm still working on the last one though. Okay? So I went to school. I went to UBC. I got 2 degrees. I became a high school teacher. I taught high school science, high school math. Then I became an advisor at UBC, and I was an advisor there for 7 years. And during that time, I was able to buy my first home. I was living in Kitsilano, right by the beach, and being very close to the beach, being a young man, I was playing beach volleyball every night. I was going out with my buddies every weekend. And so on Facebook and Instagram, it looked like I had a great lifestyle. But unfortunately, according to my bank account, it was very different. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was living a life that was unsustainable. It was hard to get by. Sometimes I would save money 1 month. The next month, I would have to take that money out again because something always came up, right? And so I was struggling, but I didn't know where to turn. Every time I went to the bank, what would they give me? They would give me a credit card or a line of credit, which would get me into more trouble. And so I was really lucky. One day, I was having lunch with one of my colleagues at UBC, and she said, Lee, if you're interested in learning more about money, maybe my boyfriend can help you. He's going out there helping families, and maybe he can help you with your situation. And so I said, sure, why not? I have no money to lose anyways, so how could it hurt? So I sat down with him, and I'll be very honest. The first time I met with him, it was very difficult for me. Why? Because, well, wouldn't you agree that, talking about money can be a very sensitive topic, right? For a lot of, especially Asian cultures, we never talk about it. But I knew that if I never shared my situation, I would never get ahead. I would never get out of the difficulties that I was in. So we sat down, went through my budget, talked about what's coming in, what's going out, right? What my responsibilities are, my student loan, my mortgage, and all my credit card. And we talked about, my goals and my dreams and what I wanted to achieve as well. And after that, he helped me put together a financial plan. And he showed me step by step what he would do if he was in my situation. And after I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I have all this education in Canada, 2 degrees from UBC, but I didn't know any of this. I had no financial knowledge whatsoever. And that made me start thinking, how many more people out there in Canada and the US didn't understand or didn't know this as well? So that's when I became very passionate about sharing this with others. So I talked to my friends, my coworkers, volleyball players, anyone that would listen. I would say, hey, this is great information. Maybe you should sit down with my advisor and maybe he can help you. And that was great. I love referring people to him, and he was doing a really good job helping my friends. And then one day he came back and said, Lee, thank you so much for all those referrals. I really enjoyed meeting and helping all your friends, but I want to help you some more. I was like, but how? You already gave me a financial plan. We're already saving money. I'm already getting out of debt. I said, well, when we first sat down, you shared with me all your goals and your dreams. Now, wouldn't you agree that all your goals and dreams come with a price tag? And I thought about it. Retiring early, having a family, traveling, it all costs money, right? So I said, what if I can help you make some extra money? Would that help you achieve your goals and dreams a bit faster? I'm like, well, of course it would, but how? It's like, well, you're already sharing this campaign. Why don't you join the campaign? And once you're a licensed agent with us, I can at least split the commission with you. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Sure, why not? So I got my license. And now when I started referring people, I was making a couple $1,000 extra each month. So just imagine if you were making a couple $1,000 extra each month. Would that help you achieve your goals and dreams a bit faster? I think for most people it would. And so I was, again, really happy to refer more people because I knew that they were getting help. My advisor was making money and I was making money. So it was a win-win-win all around for everybody. And that, and I did that for a number of years. And then later he came back again. He's like, Lee, thank you so much for all those referrals, right? You made some really good money, but you only made 50%. Would you like to learn how to make 100%? I was like, damn straight, I want to make 100%. How do I do that? It's like, well, instead of just referring people to me, why don't you come out to the field with me? Let me show you what I do to help families. And if it looks like something that you can do, maybe you can go out there and help families on your own. I was like, well, wait a minute. I have my semi-professional volleyball career. I'm busy with my friends every weekend. How much time does that take? So, well, evenings, weekends. Whenever you're free after work, just come out with me, okay, and I'll teach you what I do. I was like, all right. So after UBC, I go home, put on a nice suit, go into the field. We go sit down with a family, sit across the kitchen table with them, and I would listen to their story. And I'd hear about their situation. And after a few families, I realized, there are a lot of families out there, just like my family, working hard, trying to make ends meet, trying to take care of the family, but not getting the help, not getting the education that, I just got. So that's when I became very passionate about sharing this campaign. And then I started going out there on my own, helping families, sharing this information. And eventually, my part-time income here started to surpass my full-time income at the university. And that's when I decided to do this full-time. So tonight, I have two requests for all of you, those online and those in person as well. My first request, if you see value in the education, please share it with more people. Our firm, we're on a campaign to financially educate 30 million families by 2030, and I can't do it myself. We need to share this more information with others, right? Just imagine you attend all the workshops, you get all the financial literacy, you get a great financial plan, you achieve all your goals, all your dreams, but everyone else around you still struggles. Your friends, your family, they all still live paycheck to paycheck. They live with debt. I think that would be rather selfish of you if you never shared this with others and give them that opportunity to learn for themselves, right? So that's my first request. Please share this. My second request is more personal. Take action. It's great that you get this information and this education, but if you don't do anything with it, well, then it's just entertainment. And for the hour that we spent together tonight, there are many more entertaining things out there than watching me teach it at a workshop, okay? So I want you to make sure, take some action, do something with this education. Sound good? All right. So a lot of us have our workbooks or pen and paper ready to go. All right. So let's get started. All right. So Today's workshop number 4. Again, if you are here for the very first time, welcome. If you've been to all of our workshops, welcome again, right? Don't worry if you've never seen a workshop before, okay? You can watch them in any order, okay? So today's workshop is workshop 4. I think probably one of our most popular and one of our most powerful workshops. Understanding asset accumulation strategies, learning how to grow our money, right? We all work so hard to save and make money. Let's learn how to grow our money, okay? All right, so a little disclaimer before we get started. The information in this presentation should not be interpreted as accounting, investment, legal, or tax advice. It is not an offer to sell or solicitation to buy any security, insurance, or any other financial product. This workshop is for educational purposes only. Our national campaign for financial literacy is to bring financial awareness and education. You will not learn everything during the course of this workshop. However, we hope you learn, gain more confidence, and take action towards reaching your goals. Remember, that is my second request, all right? Being part of our campaign, we encourage you to help empower others to do the same, my first request. So to help us preserve the integrity and context of the information, please do not take any photos, videos, or record this workshop. So those at home, please don't screenshot any of this, okay? If you guys want a picture with me afterwards, it's $5, okay? All right. So what is our 30 by 30 campaign? So we believe that financial education isn't an option. It's a necessity. Our team, World System Builder, is committed to educating and empowering 30 million families by 2030, right? Be part of the campaign that is revolutionizing the financial industry. Build with a system that bridges financial education with financial independence. All right, so, okay, everyone has one of these things, right? Everyone has one of these things, okay? Every time you pick it up, okay, we're flooded with information, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, right? Whatever it may be, we're flooded with information every day when we pick it up. A lot of people offer financial advice, but are unlicensed, okay? Or they don't have industry experience. We have to think, what is their bottom line? Are they trying to sell you a product, a course, for example, right? And those in the old traditional industry narrowly focus on maybe only one or two aspects of your finances. But here in WSB, we want to take a look at the total picture, a holistic approach, right? Our workshops educate and empower you to become your own money manager. Control your finances, control your future. What I always say is, if you don't control your money, it's not your money, okay? Can't let your spouse control the money. Can't let your parents control your money. It's not up to the bank, it's up to you. If you don't learn and you don't understand it, it's not your money. So you need to learn how to control it. Now, what do we mean by a holistic approach? Now imagine this. Imagine I give everyone here a piece of paper and I say, please sketch your dream home for me. And I give you some time to sketch your dream home. Afterwards, say, all right, go online and find all the trades to build your home. So you look up an electrician, a carpenter, a plumber, all the different trades. I was like, okay, call them up, show them the picture of your dream home, and tell them to build your dream home. What are your chances of successfully building that home? I would think pretty slim for most of us, right? Now, what if I just rewound this scenario a little bit? So you can sketch me your dream home, but then you go work with an architect and you show them, hey, what you would like. And then they help put the blueprints together. They help coordinate all the different trades to build your dream home. Do you think your chances of successfully building this dream home would be greater working with an architect? I think so. And that's what we want to be, your financial architects, to help you put all the different pieces together so you can build your financial dream home. Okay? Now, what will you learn today? First of all, accumulating wealth and the cost of waiting. Second, looking at historical returns, average returns, potentially your returns. Okay? And investment strategies and minimizing risk. Now, I want you to think back. Okay? Think about the first time you encountered anything investment related. Was it a retirement plan from your first job? Right? Was it a gift or taught to you by your parents? You know, for many of us, I think a lot of us are Asian here. You know, when you're getting the red pockets during Chinese New Year, was that the first time you thought about money? Maybe. Or maybe you got to an age and it hit you and say, I have to do something, right? You finish playing, tired of playing beach volleyball every night. You realize, okay, I have to stop being YOLO. I have to do something with my life. Okay, maybe that's you, right? But my question is, where do you get your investment advice from? Is it Reddit? Is it your Uncle Bob? Right? What are your sources? Right? A lot of people go online to get information nowadays. But remember, when we went to school, what did our teachers always teach us? Right? They told us, hey, are those sources reliable? Right? What's the background? Right? Is this someone, in their basement writing whatever they want? Or is this from a trusted source? Right? And then how did you know what to do with that? I think that's really important. A lot of people get this information, they talk a big game, but they don't do anything with it. We need to remember, take action with that information. Okay? So building your knowledge begins with a strong foundation. So if you haven't seen this before, this is what we call our financial house. Okay? So like building a regular house, you must build it from the ground up with a strong foundation. So a strong foundation to your financial house is proper protection. So this is workshop 3, where you'll learn more about that. So what is proper protection? Yes. So if you are following online in your workbooks, so you can fill in the blank right now. Okay? Does anyone need some pens or pencils? Hey, Daniel, if you can help grab some pens. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So proper protection. Okay, what does that mean? So proper protection. So we're in the 4th chapter, 4th workshop. Okay, you should see the house here. So proper protection, workshop 3, okay, you'll learn more about this, is learning to protect your greatest asset. Okay, and what is your greatest asset? It's not your home, it's not your car, it's not your cell phone. Okay, it's you. Your ability to generate income is your greatest asset. Right? If you can't work, if you can't make money, right, you can't pay your bills, you can't pay your rent, you can't pay the mortgage, you can't save for retirement, right? So saving for your future and all that all depends on you being able to make money. So that's why proper protection is the foundation of your financial house. Okay, so you want to learn more about that, go to workshop 3. Now, after that, debt management, taking care of our responsibilities. So what does that mean? Well, your credit card bill, your mortgage, your student loan, line of credit, whatever it may be. All of those things erode our ability to save for our future. So we need to make sure we take care of our responsibilities. So that's debt management. After that is emergency fund. So saving for a rainy day. We'll talk about that in a bit. Sorry, learning about debt management is workshop 2. Okay, emergency fund, we'll talk about that today, and we'll talk about investments. Okay, now there's one more piece to our financial house that's not on this diagram. Okay, and that's what we call the roof to your financial house, which is estate planning. Imagine building a house in Canada, especially without a roof. Anytime it rains, anytime it snows, all the cool stuff you have inside, ruined, right? Who would build a house without a roof? Who would put together a financial plan without a roof? So the roof to your financial house is estate planning. Planning for that one day when we're no longer around. Because we all know it's 100% guaranteed, right? One day we'll no longer be here. So what should you do? What do we have to do, okay, when we're no longer around? So that's workshop number 6, if you want to learn about that, okay? So as I mentioned, we're going to talk about emergency fund today, right? So no matter how much you plan in life, the unexpected always happens. So here's a great stat here. 4 in 10 adults do not have the proper means to cover a $400 emergency. So what does that mean? If something came up, an emergency came up that costs $400, they wouldn't have the cash available right away to pay for it. They would have to go into debt, for example, or they would have to borrow, okay, to cover that $400 emergency. So 4 out of 10. So why? Well, we don't plan to fail, we just fail to plan. Right? People don't plan for a rainy day. Okay? Most people plan for the things that make us happy. Christmas, traveling, right? That night out, eating out with your friends, right? Maybe the reason why many don't have enough saved for retirement is because they get consumed by the emergencies they didn't plan for. So just like me, remember I said I try to save money 1 month, but next month I have to take it out again because something always came up. Okay. So with your emergency fund, okay, why is it so important? So to help pay for unexpected expenses. So having an extra source of funds can give your family and yourself peace of mind during a stressful time. So what are some examples? Major car repairs. Okay? This always happens, especially if you have a car. Something always comes up. Okay. So whether it's a flat tire, okay, that costs money. During COVID, the timing belt broke in my car. Okay. What does that mean? It means that my engine ruined. Okay. My car just died. It stopped. $4,000 repair bill. Okay. Where did that money come from? Major home repairs. So remember I said I used to live in Kitsilano. Okay. It was an older apartment building. One day there was an assessment. And what that meant is that, okay, there's something that needs to be fixed. So everyone needs to chip in to pay for it. So we had to upgrade the elevator. My bill was $10,000 to chip in for this elevator. Guess which floor I lived on? The ground floor. Yeah, but I still had to pay. Where did that money come from? Right? I definitely used the elevator a lot after that. Okay. Or whether it's an appliance repair or replacement, you lose your job, right? COVID-19, a serious illness or hospitalization, something always comes up, right? So that's why we need to save money for that unexpected emergency. Now, what would it cost you though? Again, would it go on a credit card, put you in debt? Do you have to take out money from your investments, from your future, right? So what we always recommend, so a basic rule of thumb, is that you set aside at least 3 to 6 months. Now, I'm going to say something different here. Not of your total expenses, but of your income. Okay? Hopefully your income is greater than your expenses. Okay? Now, why do I recommend, bless you, your income instead of your expenses? Well, if it's just your expenses, you're just covering the bare minimum. But if you think about your income, that's what you're used to getting every month, right? So hopefully that gives you a little bit more wiggle room, right? So your total expenses is just the bare minimum. But generally, I recommend your 3 months to 6 months of your income. So start off with just $1,000. Work towards that. Whether you save $50 a month, $100 a month, set aside some money and work towards that $1,000 goal first. After that, now 3 times your income. And once you hit that, 6 times. Okay? Now, why is that so important? Well, let's rewind. Go back to COVID-19, right? Some people, unfortunately, lost their jobs. Some people couldn't work. If you had 6 months of your income set aside, would you stress? Would you be worried? Or maybe one day you get an argument with your boss and you decide to quit or you get fired. Are you worried? No, you have 6 months to take care of yourself, to find something better, right? Or think about it this way. An emergency fund can also be an opportunity fund. So maybe you go to workshop 4, you understand about investing, and the market takes a turn the next couple of years. Well, now you have an opportunity where you have cash available to invest when the markets are down, right? Remember, buy low, sell high, right? So having cash set aside, whether it's 3, 6 months, or even $1,000, can give you more peace of mind, can also give you opportunities for your future as well. Now, where do you save this money? So first off, separate bank account. This is what I do. I have a separate bank account for my day-to-day bank account. Okay, set it aside. So every time I get a paycheck, I put a little money away so I don't see it. It's not on my daily banking app, right? I don't have a debit card or a Visa card for it. It's just in a separate bank account and a high interest savings account growing that I don't need to touch. However, if I need to access the money, it's readily available within 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so that's what I do. Now, if you want potentially to put it in the market, that's fine, because if you want some growth. Now, here's the thing though. The last thing you want is there to be less money than you put in. okay, for if you have an emergency one day. So those that think, oh, I want to put it in the market, let it grow, okay, keep it safe though. In a bond-based mutual fund or a money market fund, okay, that is low risk though. Okay, but again, there's a lot of great high interest savings account right now giving 5-6% rate of return. Those are fun. Okay, GICs. The banks love selling GICs, but make sure it's cashable. You're not locking in for 1 to 5 years. Okay, my parents love GICs because it's called a guaranteed income certificate because it's guaranteed the rate of return. But the problem is it's locked in for a period of time. Okay, that's the last thing you want to do. Don't lock it in. Make sure it's cashable. Okay, but remember, a credit card is not an emergency fund. Okay, remember, you want it accessible. You don't want to go in debt, so don't rely on your credit card. Okay, so that is an emergency fund. So let's talk about the next part of your financial house. Investments. Okay, so this is the fun, sexy stuff that everyone wants to learn about. Okay, so growing your wealth, money, making money. So what does that mean? Well, we need to understand, why do we invest? This is an important question. I always sit down with my clients and I need to understand, why are they investing? What are they investing for? Right? We work so hard all our lives, hoping that we can become financially independent. Whether it's to buy a home. We all know how expensive it is in Vancouver, right? So we need to save up for a while, unless we're lucky and have, the bank of mom and dad to help us. For most of us, we need to work hard and save for that, right? Maybe you want to retire sooner, right? Instead of waiting till 65, maybe you can retire at 50 or 40. Okay? I think some people here are 18 years old. Right? Some of you guys are 18, right? Imagine if you're retired when you're 40. I know that's a long way from now, right? When everyone else is still struggling, working to pay their bills, their kid, their mortgage, you guys are done, right? Imagine that. That'd be a pretty sweet lifestyle, right? Provide better opportunities for your kids, right? Or control your time. Whatever your reason may be, you need to have a purpose. For most people, they're just saving blindly. So they don't know how much they need to save and by when they need this money saved up by. Okay? So what I always say is, bring us your goals and together we can work on a strategy to help get you there. And that's what my advisor did when we first sat down and talked about my goals. He helped me put that strategy together. Okay? So building wealth has 3 phases. Okay? First phase, what we're going to talk about today, is the accumulation phase. So this is in your workbooks. Okay, so the accumulation phase. So we're working, we're saving, we're growing our money. So this is the fun part, right? This is why we're all here. Now, one day, who would like to stop working for money and retire? Who would like to do? Think you guys want to work for the rest of your lives? Yes. No, I don't. Okay. Yes, we all want to retire one day, right? That's why we work so hard to save our money. That is known as the distribution phase. So you want to learn about the distribution phase? That's workshop 5. Okay. So when we retire, now we learn how to use that money we saved up and how to make sure it's effectively spent in our retirement. Where do we save for retirement? So that's workshop 5. Now, again, one day we all know that we'll no longer be around. So we're going to pass on our estate to our family. Okay, remember, your estate is not about property, it's about your stuff. So your investment accounts, your property, your clothes, your laptop, your phone, all your stuff, right? That's called the estate transfer phase. So workshop 4, workshop 5, workshop 6. Okay, so we'll talk about the first part today, accumulation phase. So I like stats. So this is the good news. Most people will live longer. So if you were 65 years old today, okay, in Canada, men, you're expected to live to 83 and a half. Women, okay, good news, 86 and a half. So you get 3 years of no headaches. Okay? Now, here's the thing though. The bad news is most people are not saving enough for their retirement. Right? They stop working at 65, right? They live to 83, 86, but unfortunately, there's not enough money. Okay? Only 36% of non-retired adults think that the retirement savings are on track. Let me share with you another stat, right? A lot of people are living longer and longer nowadays, right? Because medicine is a technology. So does anyone have like young children? Does anyone parents here that have young children? Daniel, you have a young child, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Daniel has a kid. Did you forget about your kid?
Oh,
No, okay. So Daniel has a daughter?
yes.
Daughter, right? Here's the stat. Young children nowadays, on average, 50% of them will live over 100 years old. So your future kids right now, half of them will live over 100 years old. And statistically, right now, there's someone on earth that will live to over 150 years old. Right now. Don't know where, maybe in Japan somewhere. Okay. But people are living longer and longer. But the problem is, like I said, not enough people are saving up enough money. Okay. So over the past few years or decades even, there's been a shift in responsibility. So what does that mean? Pensions. So money from work have declined. Okay, or eliminated altogether. You'll learn more about that in workshop 5. Okay, so many companies are not giving enough money to their employees for their retirement plan, or not giving anything at all. Okay, so what worked for our parents, relying on the companies they work for their whole lives, fortunately, that's not available for us. Also, okay, if company pensions can no longer be relied upon and government benefits may not be enough for one's desired retirement, okay, the consumer must be responsible for their own financial security. So you can't rely on your company. You can't rely on the government. So who can you rely on? Yourself. Okay? That's the biggest thing, is that unfortunately, what worked for our parents' generation, having CPP, OAS, company pension, unfortunately, that's not available. So we need to learn how to save for ourselves. Okay? So what would you depend on for your retirement needs? And again, if you want to learn about company pensions and government benefits, go to workshop 5. Okay. So let's look at this scenario. Okay. So let's say you need $1 million. That's your goal, $1 million by the time you retire at 65. Okay. And let's assume you're getting an 8% rate of return in whatever investment vehicle you're putting in. Okay. So is anyone 25 here? Anyone 25? No? Daniel, you're kind of close. Sorry. Kind of close, kind of close. Okay, so let's say that's Daniel's goal. He wants $1 million by the time he's 65. So he has 40 years to save. Can anyone guess how much money he needs to save per month to hit that $1 million goal? Any guesses? Oh, wait, don't be scared. 100? 200? 500? $284. And not too crazy. I think doable. But again, most 25-year-olds are just graduating, starting their careers. So maybe they can't set aside that much right away, but at least it's an achievable goal, right? About $300 a month if they budget properly. But let's say Daniel's YOLO, okay? He plays beach volleyball every night, goes out with his buddies every weekend, and he waits till 35, right? He has a great lifestyle, right? And he waits 10 more years before he starts saving. How much money does he need to save per month now? Any guesses? So, you know, it was 284. Double? Triple?
7.5.
700? Very close. $666 a month. Now, again, hopefully by this time, he's progressing through his career, making more money. But at this age, a lot of people are getting more responsibilities, like having families and mortgages, right? So saving that much more can become very difficult, right? But he's still young, baby face. He's like, you know what, 35, I want to still have some fun. I'm going to wait till 45 before I get serious about life. Okay? Yeah, I'll just show you this number. It's going to get depressing. Here we go, $1,700 a month. That's rent for some people right there, right? So just imagine now he has family, mortgage, and we're asking, hey, on top of that, Daniel, if you want to hit your goal, you have to save an additional $1,700 a month to hit your $1 million goal now. What if he waits just 10 more years? Okay, now he only has 10 years before retirement. Okay, now he needs to save 5,000 for it. So that's more than most people's paychecks a month, right? So this is not to scare you, okay? But you need to understand, time is something we can never get back. Okay, once it's passed, it's passed. So when do we need to start saving? Well, today. Ideally, it would have been yesterday, okay? But we don't have a time machine. So we need to start saving right away. Now, again, whether it's $50, $100, whatever you can do, that's fine. Start with something and then build up the discipline, build up the habit. Okay? Because I know for most people, if I'm going to ask them to save $1,700 a month, that's going to be very difficult, right? They're going to probably feel broke at the end of the month if I ask them to save that much. But I said, hey, let's start with $50 a paycheck. That becomes manageable, right? And then we build up the habit, we build up the discipline. Because spending money is a habit. Saving money is also a habit, okay? So regardless of whether you have time or not, you can always learn to leverage the market. And we'll talk about that in a moment as well. All right, so if you want to learn what your goal and how much you need to save, okay, you can scan this QR code. If you're on your phone at home and you can't scan it, you can go online to worldsystembuilder.com, go under workshops, and there'll be a retirement calculator. And you can put in this information here. If you guys want to scan it, you can scan it right now. Okay, so you put in your target, the age you want to retire, and it'll tell you how much you need to save per month. Okay, it can be either exciting or very scary. And I'll leave it up to you. All right, everyone scanned it? Okay, cool. All right, so now we need to understand, is our money really working hard for us? So there's a great rule out there called the rule of 72, which shows, okay, mathematically, how long it takes for our money to double. Okay, so all it basically states is take the number 72, divided by the rate of return, and that'll give you the number of years approximately it'll take for your money to double. Okay, so let's say today, let's say I'm 29 years old, okay, and I have $10,000 saved up, and I save it in a high interest savings account that gives me 6%. So 72 divided by 6 is 12. So that means every 12 years, my money will double, okay, plus interest. So if I start off with 10,000 today, 12 years from now, it'll double to 20,000 plus a little bit of growth. And then 24 years, it'll double to 40,000. And then 36 years, by the time I'm 65, $81,000. So what would your retirement look like if you only had $81,000 saved up? That'd be pretty tough, right? You know, I know for Vincent, that's like a weekend downtown for you, right? Yeah, right? Yeah, it's very classy guy, expensive taste, right? So $81,000, probably not going to last most people very long, especially here in Vancouver. So let's say you get 8% rate of return, okay? So 72 divided by 8 is 9. So your money doubles every 9 years. So 19,039, so 159,000, okay? So a bit better, okay? The last Vincent, a year in Vancouver. Okay? But now what if you get 10%? So now your money doubles every 7.2 years. So it goes from 7 to 15 years, 22 years, right? 29 years, 158,000, and 36 years, 300,000. So a bit better, right? So then people later ask me, how do you get a higher rate of return? We'll talk about it in a second, okay? But this is what we need to understand. That, you know, first of all, if you take a look at the last column, okay? When does the greatest doubling happen? When does that happen? At the end, right? Between 29 and 36 years. We need to understand, because that doubling happens at the end, we need to be patient for our money to grow. If we say, oh, you know, at year 29, I have 158,000, my friend only has 80,000, you know, they took that money and put that a down payment on a home, and they're hoping to get some retirement income from that, rental income from that home. Well, you miss out on that last doubling that gives you another 158,000, right? If you take your money out too early, we need to make sure that we give our money enough time to grow, right? So the greatest doublings always happen at the end. So we need to be patient for our money to do that, okay? So where are you saving your money for retirement? For most of us, we've heard about RSPs and TFSAs. Again, you can learn more about that in Workshop 5. You can use an insurance strategy, whole life, pension and annuities if you have that at work. Government pensions, Workshop 5 again. Stocks and bonds we'll talk about in a bit. You can put it in a savings account. But how much are you getting in the savings account right now? Are you relying on your home? Maybe your children are going to be your retirement plan. That's why a lot of Asian parents have a lot of kids. Because, hey, hopefully one of you is successful so then you can take care of mom and dad, right? Parents, are you hoping your kids will be retirement plan? No? I know parents are looking at the kids right now. It's like, I got to work harder, right? Or universal life, again, using insurance, okay? Regardless, you have to understand, what do you have? Do you have some of these? Do you have all of these? Right? And how much do you know about each of them? For most people, they say, oh, I have this and that. Great, right? But a product is not a solution. Okay, you need to understand how it all fits together to build your financial house. Okay, so remember, a product is not a solution. Okay, so let's talk about then the financial markets. So this is going to get technical here, but I'll try to simplify it. So financial markets, essentially, they boil down to the equity and bond markets via mutual funds and ETFs. So what does that mean? So what is the equity market? The stock market. So you hear about this all the time. Stocks, you hear about it on the news when you turn it on. Friends will talk about it, right? So the stock market is just a financial market where shares of a company is issued and traded, okay, either through exchanges or over-the-counter markets. So basically what it means that you have fractional shares, okay, or whole shares in a company. So let's say, for example, you wanted to invest in Amazon. So during COVID, one share of Amazon was over $3,000 US. So if you wanted a tiny, tiny bit of ownership of Amazon, you needed over $3,000 US to buy that tiny, tiny sliver, okay, ownership of that company, right? But unfortunately, most people don't have that much money to set aside to buy one stock, okay? So what is an alternative to owning a stock? Well, it is a mutual fund. Okay, so a mutual fund is a professionally managed fund that allows you to pool your money together with other investors, okay, to purchase a portfolio of stocks, bonds, or other securities that might be too difficult for you to own. So what does that mean? So let's say you really want to get a piece of Amazon, maybe Microsoft, Tesla, all these other tech companies, but they're all individually very expensive. Well, you can get a bucket, okay, a portfolio of all these companies put together. Okay, but it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, right? Because you pool your money together with other investors to buy these stocks. So instead of getting one share, you get fractional shares of each of those companies. So it might be a pool of, let's say, 100 companies put together. Okay, but now you have the ability to start saving and investing instead of waiting to try to save up to buy one stock or one share. Okay, now there's another type of a product called an ETF, exchange traded fund. Okay, and so very similar to a mutual fund, but it tracks an index or a sector or commodity. Okay, but it can again be purchased through a stock exchange, just like a stock. Right, a lot of people can do it online through online banking. There's a lot of great apps out there nowadays as well. Okay, the main difference between a mutual fund and an ETF is active management. A mutual fund generally has a fund manager that takes a look, reviews all those 100 companies, for example, every day to make sure it's performing well, to make sure they pick and choose the right companies. Where an ETF generally is kind of a set it and forget it type of investment, where a fund manager kind of picks 100, but doesn't really look at it every day, maybe once a year, and then they'll review it, okay? So the mutual fund might have a bit higher fee because of that active management, whereas the ETF doesn't. Okay, so again, depends on how you want to save, how you want to invest. If you want someone like a lifeguard to watch over your investments, or you're okay just in a set it, forget it type of strategy. Okay, again, many, many different options out there. Okay, but remember though, you need to have a strategy over trends, because some things might seem hot today at the moment, okay, may not be tomorrow. So a lot of people, again, always talk about stocks. Vancouver especially talk about real estate, precious metals, crypto, oil and gas. Right? A few years ago, people were talking about, the legalization of cannabis in Canada, and that's going to be like a huge explosion. And then a lot of people lost money, right? Crypto, yeah, people talk about that all the time. Money goes up, money goes down, right? It's a crazy roller coaster, right? But remember, saving money, building your wealth, okay, should be slow and boring. Okay, it should be like a crazy roller coaster. Why most people are looking for that next trend, the hottest thing, is because unfortunately they don't give themselves enough time for their money to grow. So they're always trying to find the next best thing. Okay, but if you have a plan and a strategy, you don't need to rely on, hey, what's the next hottest thing out there? Okay, because you have a plan, right? And you don't need to worry about that. So be educated. Don't follow the trends. Okay, follow your financial foundation, your plan, and based on your risk tolerance as well. Again, a lot of people will go into something that is very high risk and unfortunately lose their money. Okay, so we need to learn and understand. Now, I am very big proponent of understanding history. Okay, so this is the Canadian market since 1955. So what do we notice here? We notice that there's a pattern, there's a trend. Okay, markets follow a cycle. So the little gray lines below, that's when markets were down. The green line is when markets were up. So what do we notice is that every 7 to 10 years, there's a market correction. So the little gray lines. But then after the correction, there's a number of years when markets go back up. Okay, so it's a cycle. So approximately every 7 to 10 years. So let's fast forward though. Okay, so that's up to 2021. What happened during COVID? So at the beginning of 2020, things were looking good. And then all of a sudden, March hits. Everything locked down. Boom. Markets down 30, 40%. Are you freaking out? Maybe some people did. Or you came to workshop 4. You're like, hey, I heard that guy talking about having an emergency fund. I have 6 months of money set aside, or maybe even more. Markets are on sale right now. Maybe I'll get in. And then what happens? 2021 goes up. 2022 goes up, goes back down in 2022. Last year wasn't a great year. That was another downtime. So if you missed 2020, last year would have been a great year to get in as well, right? And then this year, 2023, markets back up, right? So every 7 to 10 years, there's a market correction. So if you can take advantage of that market correction, right, you can expedite how quickly your money can grow, right? So for me, if I want to retire in maybe the next 10 years, I really need to take advantage of every downturn in the market to make sure I take advantage of that, right? Maybe you're young, maybe you're 18. You have 3 or 4 market corrections ahead of you, right? Make sure you're ready for that, okay? So can you handle the loss though? So when markets go down, are you going to be like my dad and say, Lee, markets are down right now, freaking out, right? Or do you understand what's going to happen? So let's say you decide to invest in something aggressive, okay, and you lose some money. So let's say it's down 10%. You need to actually wait for it to go back 11% before you break even again. You're like, well, that doesn't make sense. It's down 10, but I need 11. Well, let's say you had $100, you lose 10%, that takes you down to 90, right? $90. Or if you grow at 10%, well, 10% of 90 is only $9. So it only gets you back to $99. To get back to $100, you need 11% growth, okay, to get back to 100. So, hey, losing 10%, okay, back up 11, now you're breaking even. But what if you're very aggressive, you're investing in crypto, and now it's down 20%? Well, you got to wait to 25. Okay? If you're down 30, you need 43. If you're down 40, you need 67. If you're down 50, any guesses how much you need to wait for it to go back up to break even? Any guesses? Everyone's quiet. They're shy. You need 100. So you fill that in your book, 100%. What if it's down 60%? Good guess. Actually more, 150. Right? We all want the big returns, but can you handle the loss? Right? That's the most important thing. Can you handle that loss? And understand that, hey, if it's a big loss, you need to wait a long time, okay, potentially, for that money to go back up before you break even again. Okay? So have you experienced a market crash in your lifetime? So for me, I remember the dot-com crash in the early 2000s, okay? The Great Recession in 2008, right? And more recently, what's happened during COVID. So in my adult life, I experienced at least 3 crashes already. Okay, but remember, am I freaking out or do I see the opportunity? Because remember, we always talk about buy low, sell high, right? So, but did you have money to buy? Unfortunately, most people don't have enough money to buy when that opportunity arrives. So is there a strategy we can use though to help us win regardless of market conditions? Yes, there is, okay? Now, people always ask, Lee, is there a risk to investing? There always is a risk to everything, right? But the more we understand, the more we're educated, the more we can minimize that risk, right? Here's a good example, crossing the street. So Kingsway is a very busy street. Now, if I didn't know anything, right? If I just ran across the street, risk is very high of getting hit by a car, right? What if I was educated a little bit and I knew that I had to press the button, okay? So risk is a bit lower. What if now I knew I could press the button, but I just had to look left and right, okay? And instead of maybe looking left and right as well, maybe I instead of running across the street, I walk across the street, right? But does that guarantee that I'll always be safe when crossing the street? No, because I don't know what the other drivers will do. But at least I minimize the risk when I cross the street, right? So when we invest, how do we minimize the risk? Right? We use a method or strategy called dollar cost averaging. Okay? We call it the win-win strategy. So what does it mean? So simply, instead of putting a lump sum of money in right away, we break it up. Okay? We break it up into smaller intervals. And I'll show you why that's important in a second. Okay? So let's say Vincent's mom loves him very much, right? And she has $500 she wants to save, put away to grow for tuition next year. Okay? So she remembers she went to workshop 4, right? So young, smart, handsome, right, instructor, and she learned about dollar cost averaging. So she calls him up and says, okay, I have $500. How do I save this money, right, for Vincent's future? So it's like, all right, let's use dollar cost averaging. So month 1, I'm going to move this so people can see it. So instead of giving me all 500, I say, all right, Vincent's mom, give me $100 each month for 5 months. So month 1, and let's say she wants to invest in Tesla. Okay, let's just assume, right? Month 1, Tesla is $200 a unit. Sorry, $20 a unit. So she has $100 to invest. How many units does she buy? She has $100 and it costs $20 a unit. 5. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Right? So she gets 5 units. Now that's January. February, unfortunately, Elon starts tweeting some crazy things, right? And then it goes down to $10 a unit. Okay, but she's still putting in her $100, right? So how many units does she buy in February? 10, right? Okay, but he's still going nuts. Now he's focused on SpaceX. He's focused on many other things. Now March, it's now to $5. How many now? 20, thank you. And then so on. So April, it's down to $2, but she gets 50 units. And then in May, it goes back to $10. So not even breaking even yet, okay? So now she's done. She's put in all $500, right? And now tuition is coming up for Vincent, so she needs to pull out her money. Now, if you look at this graph, it went from $20 a unit to $10 a unit. It's down 50%. So if you were my dad, you're like, Lee, this is stupid. This investment sucks, right? It's down 50%. I want to take out all my money. So I'm like, okay, let's take a look. Did she actually make money or did she lose money? Well, how many units did she buy? Someone do the mental math?
95.
95. Great. Are you still in school right now?
I know we
You
graduated.
just graduated. Okay, so you still probably have your sharp brain. Okay, that's good. All right, so she has 95 units now. Right? How much does it cost per unit at the end? $10 a unit. So 95 units at $10 a unit, she walks away with 950 bucks. Right? So she put in 500, she walks away with 950. Now, what if she just put it all in at $500 in January? All in. Right? So 500 divided by 20, how many units was that? You can do the mental math. You grab a calculator. Everyone has a phone. You can use calculators. Anyone figure that out? Well, I'll tell you, regardless of how much, it's half, right? Because now it's only $10, right? So she walks away with only $250 if she put it all in January. Make sense? So this is why, okay, dollar cost averaging is a really great strategy. Because when the markets go down, you buy more units, right? I remember Asian mom, right? My mom, when like, for example, when toilet paper went on sale at the supermarket, she'd give me some money, my sister some money, my dad some money. Okay, go buy some more, stock up, right? And that's what all you're doing here is you're stocking up when it goes on sale. And then eventually as the price, as it goes back up, okay, you can sell it back and make a profit, right? We always say buy low, sell high. So here, hey, we didn't even get back to 20 bucks yet, right? But at this opportunity, she's making money, right? So this is why we call it win-win. If it goes down, you get more units. If it goes back up, everything you bought is worth more, right? So this is why doing those periodic purchases, so every paycheck, for example, if you're doing 50 bucks every paycheck, $100 every paycheck, right? And you don't worry about what's happening, right? Because you know you have a strategy, that's how you can get ahead, okay? Discipline, consistent, right? It's not about timing the market because we don't know when that $2 point will happen, right? But it's time in the market. Okay, the more time that you let your money grow, okay, potentially you will have more growth. Okay, so dollar cost averaging. All right, almost done. So diversification. So we always hear this adage, hey, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? So diversification means that, again, you can spread your money across many different companies, like a mutual fund, or you can even spread it across many different industries. So you can be in tech, energy, healthcare, right? You can diversify. Right? A lot of people ask, hey, Lee, when I'm investing in a mutual fund, can this go down to zero? I say, well, the probability is very unlikely, right? I can't say it's guaranteed, but for this mutual fund to go to zero, it means that the collection of all these companies, it means that all these companies have to go to zero, right? And if that happens, right, if all those companies go to zero, I'm thinking there's probably really crazy bad things happening in the world. Bigger things we'd have to worry about, right? If it all went to zero, right? So the fact that it could happen, yeah, maybe. Very slim though. Okay? So that's why we need to understand diversification. Okay. We don't need to worry so much about asset allocation here, but let me show you something. Okay, I'll show you everything here. Now, as life changes, your goals will change as well. Okay? So when you're young, you can be more aggressive. You'll be at the left hand, also the right hand side for people here. You're on the right hand side. Okay? But as you get older, you need to take less risk. Why? Because you don't have enough time or as much time to correct your mistakes. Right? So what does that mean? Well, if you're 18 years old, okay, you're on the right hand side. So think of when you invest, offense and defense. Okay, so if you're in the right aggressive growth, 100% equities means like 100% offense. You're not worried about defense, right? Fixed income is more the defense. But as you go from 18 to 30 to 40, you're going from balanced to moderate. So then you still have some growth, some offense, but now you have some more defense. And then when you're 60 or older, you want to be more defense. Why? Because now you're retired. You're not making money anymore. You're on a fixed income. The last thing you want to do is lose money, right? You need to protect the money that you saved up, right? So you need to be more conservative. So my dad wants to be on the right-hand side and aggressive to see a lot of growth, right? But I have to tell him, Dad, right? You can't lose 10, 20%. Right? You have to make sure that you keep as much as you can for your retirement because you're not working anymore, right? So he needs to be on the left-hand side, conservative, right? So as you get older, you need to shift, okay? So understand your risk tolerance. Now, don't worry so much about rebalancing as well here, okay? You don't have to worry too much about that. But if you want to understand where you lie along the spectrum, you can fill out this questionnaire to understand what your risk tolerance is again. Okay, if you want to scan that, you can fill it out. Online, again, if you can't scan it, go to worldsystembuilder.com under the workshop tab. Again, there's a suitability questionnaire. And then as you answer those questions, you can figure out, are you aggressive? Are you balanced? Are you conservative? Okay. Now, ask yourself, how can I improve on what I have? Or do you have anything? Right? If you have something, hey, maybe you can get a second opinion. A lot of times I sit down with families and they have stuff, which is great. They've started saving. But again, they don't know what they have. They don't understand what they have. Does it fit their goals? Is it working for them? Right? What strategies am I currently implementing to achieve my goals? Are they dollar cost averaging or are they just dumping money in willy-nilly? Right? How tolerant am I to risk? Do you understand that, hey, if you lose a lot, it takes a lot of time to get money or to grow your money again? Or do you want to save as much as possible? Right? Knowledge is power, but it's even more powerful for an educated investor. Okay? Now, again, I couldn't go through everything tonight. There's a lot more to talk about. Okay? But remember what I said earlier, my second request, take action. So we have a great Facebook community online and people share their stories. Okay? And Miss Wada here shared her story this summer. She said, I finally reached my goal of creating a 6+ month emergency fund. It was hard in the beginning, but with consistency, it got easier. Anyone can do it. Since I have these backup funds, I was not worried or stressed when COVID-19 hit. I became unemployed, but thanks to WSB, I didn't have to touch those funds. So imagine that. Imagine you had 6 months of your income set aside. And when COVID-19, you didn't even have to touch that money. Imagine how that would feel, right? So only you can take the steps necessary for your future. And one of the greatest miracles is you can change your life simply by changing the way you think, especially being educated as well. So if you want to connect with us and learn more, on Facebook, it's MyWSB. On Instagram, it's WSB_official. On YouTube, it's WSB World System Builder. Now, homework. Remember, I used to be a teacher, so Mr. Lee always assigns homework, okay? Connect with the person that invited you. Be part of the 30 million financially educated. Now that you understand a little bit, I encourage you, please come back, okay? And join the campaign and bring someone to the next workshop. So, important to note, our workshops actually go in reverse order. So today's workshop 4. So next week will be workshop 3, which will be preparing with proper protection. Okay, so it'll go in reverse order. But Thursday evening, we won't stop through the holidays. So we'll have it even the week on Christmas week as well. So make sure you keep on bringing, because most of you hopefully should have some time off as well. So come, keep on learning. Okay, and finally, okay, work with a financial professional to help you improve your financial strategy. If you don't have one, okay, you can always start. Now, before we wrap up, is anyone new here for the very first time? A couple people? Okay, I have a quick survey card. This is to help us understand what you'd like to learn more about. Okay, so I'll pass this around. So you can keep your hands up and we can just pass this around. But on behalf of myself and our associates, thank you so much. And we'll see you next workshop. Thank you to all those online as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I've never done it.
We have different. Every Thursdays, live, and then Monday to Fridays, it's like on Zoom like this. And there's like 3 times a day, but I gotta search up, if you want to join that, I gotta search up the exact.
Yes.